What's up, folks? I'm so excited to be sharing this brand new MOC with you today. Instructions for this MOC before we get started are down in the description below. You can check out the advent calendar for yourself right now on rebrickable.com. And this year, unlike last year, all of the days of the month are actually available to build right away. The reason that I did that is because Rebrickable got mad at me because apparently you're not supposed to do timed release instructions. They said everything has to be up there immediately as soon as you post the MOC, so I went ahead and added them in and posted the MOC. So you can build all 25 days of the advent calendar for yourself right now. Of course, this year I'm doing a Star Trek themed build. That is of no surprise to anyone who's ever seen anything related to Star Trek looking at these. Last year I did Star Wars, and this year I wanted to switch things up a little bit, and I'm probably going to switch the theme every year as well going forward, because it's just more fun to explore different things, different ideas. So yeah, this year we're doing Star Trek, coinciding of course with the Enterprise D, which was only a rumor at the time that I decided to make a Star Trek advent calendar. So I'm not just chasing the clout. I actually have some level of integrity. Yeah, I'm super excited to show these models to you today. The way that it works is each model costs around about on average $8 to $9 to get the parts, maybe a little bit less if you are lucky, or if you use pick a brick a lot to source your parts, but then you can go ahead and build 25 really cool, highly detailed Star Trek models that are designed to look cool on a shelf or on a desk. And currently I don't have stands for them, but I'm going to be making stands for those in the future. I just wanted to keep the parts list nice and light for the beginning stages of this, for the people who are on a budget. It's already a fairly expensive ask, it's like around $220, $230, give or take, for all of the parts, because, we're doing, like I said, highly detailed models and 25 of them. So yeah, I didn't want to, add stands onto that additionally for folks who aren't interested in that. So anyways, I'm not going to waffle anymore. This is going to be my final video of the year, because I'm taking a break for December to basically do a bunch of the work that I've been putting off for years and years at this point, getting my space more organized, redoing some things that I haven't been happy with, upping the quality of my videos, and a lot of that prep work has to get done. I just simply have to take time off to do it, so that's what I'm doing. I'm taking off December, and I'm going to be doing a lot of stuff. It probably still won't be enough time, but yeah, you guys will still hear from me. I'll still do a little something here and there. But this is going to be my last proper full video for the year. So I'm very excited in a way, because I've had all these things on my to-do list, and my brain has always just been a little too frazzled and scrambled to just sit down and actually do this stuff. And now I feel like I'm at a place where I can do it. So super happy about that. So yeah, look forward to cool new things coming in the new year. But for now, let's jump in and take a look at all of these models. I am going to keep it brief, because there's a lot of info that I put into the instructions themselves, so I'm not going to be waffling on about each ship for too long. You can just check that out for yourself when you get the instructions. So yeah, let's check them out. So we kick things off here with the Phoenix. This is of course from Star Trek First Contact. It sort of kicks off the Star Trek saga, if you will, because they make first contact with alien species and begin to build into the Federation that we know and love eventually. So the Phoenix here has a cool little Millennium Falcon cockpit, which just worked absolutely perfectly at this scale to depict the windows of the front of the rocket. And of course, the Millennium Falcon also made a cameo appearance in this same movie, in First Contact. Leave that in the comments below if you know where that is. It's pretty common trivia for Star Trek folk. But yeah, I tried to get all the gears and the roller skates here represent all the little nozzles and exposed pipes and all of those kind of things. This is intended to be in universe a converted ICBM rocket, so it's been super duper stripped down. I've added in the nacelles, because everything Star Trek has to have nacelles, otherwise it can't go to warp. And so I've tried to replicate that as best as I can here, and give you the suggestion that these elements would fold up into the body here, which they do in the actual movie as well. So very nice on this one. I'm super happy with all of the cool details and stuff, and on to day 2. And then jumping forward to the Enterprise NX-01. This is a ship that most Star Trek fans didn't know existed for a very, very long time until, surprise, the Enterprise show came out, and they were like, yeah, there was an Enterprise before the Enterprise. Who knew? This one, I really tried to capture the look of the overall proportions with the shaping on the saucer here, and even just having the little bit of cutout there where these sort of floodlights that point out across the saucer. The shaping for the bridge here, I tried to be really, really faithful to all that. And then also these beautiful sort of pylon struts that come out to the back here. I really wanted to capture the shape of that, and then just getting, being able to put a couple of quarter round tiles in here, and then just attach 5 long plate to a couple of 3 long plates, and then inside of here figuring out the parts that needed to be hugged up against that plate to give the room for that to fit. That was all really, really fun to figure out. And I think this is actually my personal favorite Enterprise design. I'm probably clouded by nostalgia, although I have gotten a lot more appreciation for other Enterprises since doing this project and looking at all of them really up close. I got the stud reversal in here for the dish, so we just have one of these cool bar parts in here that just sits in here and enables the dish to be attached upside down, so that's really fun. And then the kind of squished the squished kind of deflector dish up here at the front, I think looks really cool. So yeah, I'm super happy with this one. I love this design, and I'm probably going to be doing an expansion at some point, and one of the things I'm going to do is add the secondary hull for this that goes under here that brings it one step closer to the Constitution class from the original series. And that was something that was planned for the season 5 that we never got for Enterprise because the show was canceled. But that's where they were headed. So yeah, I'm going to probably go ahead and make that as well, and then we can add that to our NX-01. It's a really beautiful ship, I think. But yeah, I mean, opinions vary, but I really like this one a lot. And then taking another leap forward past the Enterprise era, this is the beginning of the Discovery era. And this is the USS Shenzhou. And I love this ship because it's the first ship that we see in Discovery, and there's this really cool shot of it where we come in to see the bridge, and it's we don't realize that we're upside down. We're thinking we're looking at a traditional configuration of Starship, and then the camera flips around and we see that we're actually looking at the Shenzhou, which looks like this. So I think it's a really, really cool ship. I love the color scheme on it. Philippa Georgiou was a really cool character, at least in the season of Discovery that she was in before she was Mirror Universe Georgiou. Yeah, I just think this is cool, and I got the pink in here for the impulse engines, and then these nacelles are really, really slick, and I like the angle that they sit out at. And yeah, the dark red and the white, I mean, you can't really beat it. I think it's really, really cool. I just have this simple cutout here for the shuttle bay, which is back here, and then like I mentioned, the bridge is on the bottom here, and then I think this is the deflector dish up here. It's got kind of a cool pink look to it as well, but I wanted to capture the somewhat of the shape of this area, so I just added in this hinge brick or hinge plate in here in black to kind of call that out. But yeah, really, really cool one, and one of the cool ships from the Discovery era, of which there are many cool ships actually. So yeah, I like this one a lot. And then looking at the Discovery herself, so USS Discovery here from the show of the same name has the spinning saucer section right here. So owing to the way that this is built, we have to have these 2 transparent boat tiles underneath. And so that prevents it from spinning all the way around, but I really, really wanted to have the saucer section here be free-floating so it could spin at least a little bit like it does in the show. And I'm using a clear, transparent, clear 2x2 dish in here to fill in the gap, but in a non-intrusive way so that it looks clear and see-through. From most reasonable angles, you don't really realize there's anything in there, but that just helps to keep this centered in and registered so that it doesn't fly off all over the place. And I'm really, really happy with how that turned out. And then the actual, the nacelles and stuff for this are so elongated, and they sort of have that like scoop down at the back and they get really thin. And I just really, really want to capture all of that in there as well. And even looking at it from below, it has such an aggressive look, this sharp triangle that comes right up to the front here for, I think this is the deflector dish here, but yeah, it's just such a cool ship. And I think these are the impulse engines, just represented with some trans red plates in there. This is obviously before the refit of, and when they jump to the 32nd century. This is the original, and I really love the color scheme of it as well. It's sort of got this copper bronzy sort of a look. It's very, very shiny, and metallic and strange looking compared to all of the other ships, and that's just owing to the uniqueness of this particular ship, right? There's not another one in Starfleet like it, and because it has special magical powers. So yeah, I really, of course, I had to get this one in here, and oh, just the bridge is up here, by the way, because it's just Discovery is a cool ship, and Discovery was a major series that kind of relaunched the Star Trek into the new era. People call New Trek. And yeah, this is an essential one. So there's Discovery. And here we have the Enterprise, of course, the classic from the 1960s TV show, the Constitution class. That is what the NX-01 was building toward. And here we have on top the bridge, which is represented with a trans-clear stud with a hole in it, and then we have a bar that runs down through underneath to be able to attach this dish under here to give that iconic shape of the underside of the dish there. And then we have the deflector at the front. I was originally using an inkwell piece for this when I had the digital version of the design, and then I realized that wouldn't actually clutch in here well enough, so I switched it out for a hollow stud instead. And then we have the really thin struts that go up to the nacelles here, and I'm super happy with how all of that looks. And I mean, the Constitution class is such a beautiful design. I mean, it's quintessentially Star Trek, right? This is what kicked it all off. This is the entrance to the shuttle bay back here. It should be, sort of a rounded, interesting kind of a bulbousy shape, but obviously I'm working with a single stud back here, so I don't have a lot of room. So I kind of, do a little bit of interpretation on that. And I've also exaggerated the red stripes here a little bit because, the grill tile just felt too perfect not to use it for this. I didn't want it to just be plain white, so yeah, it's a little bit exaggerated, but I think it looks really cool. It gives it that sleek racing stripe look that I love so much about this ship. This ship is, sleek is the word, isn't it? This is really a sleek ship. A word about the techniques here that I had to use in order to actually attach this dish onto a single stud and have it be sturdy, which it is. It's actually, you can see here, a little bit kind of off axis. You'd expect the X shape to be even on grid compared to the rest of the ship, but it has to be offset due to the fact that you need to attach it to a hollow, one of these anti-studs right here. So you just kind of have to angle the dish around until it feels like it's in the right place relative to the rest of the ship. But yeah, super happy with this, and the way that these newer Technic half pins with the friction, they really add a lot of friction, and it enables you to do cool things like just attach this entire section right here, with just a single one of those pins, and it has enough friction to be super stable and strong. So yeah, absolutely adore this ship, and yeah, there it is. Next up we have the Klingon D7 cruiser, or the Katinga. I don't know if this is specifically supposed to be the Katinga class or if this is just the D7, but it's the version that has the gray the green underside and then the gray on top. And I was watching some behind the scenes as to how and why that was done, and I think it was meant to be painted that way initially, but the model, they had some sort of issue with it showing up correctly on screen, so what they did is they painted the entire thing gray, and then they lit it from below with green lighting to give it the look that they wanted. And then I'm replicating that here obviously by using actual sand green elements. With the impulse engine at the back, and then I love the green for the kind of engine glow that we would normally associate with the Federation being red and blue, and here we have that menacing green, so it's just another thing to help it stand out as an enemy ship. The bowl here at the front, this was the reason that I did this ship. This Technic bowl end piece was the seed piece for this, so that determined kind of the scale of the rest of it. And then once I figured out how to mount the bridge on top of here with this shape, I was super thrilled and off to the races. And I absolutely love this one. It's a small ship, but it works really well, I think, to depict what it's trying to show. So yeah, there's the D7 cruiser. Next up we have the Enterprise B, and I believe this one was from Star Trek Generations. At the beginning, we see Kirk get blown out into space and presumed dead, and he winds up in the Nexus and kicks off the plot of that movie where him and Picard have their meeting. There's so many interesting shapes back here towards the back of the sources section. Like these details are angled out to create a little bit of a ridge in between here, which is to represent an actual kind of notch that's cut into the back section of this shape. And then I love the way that it swoops back down, and then we have this thick sort of black column for the neck here that's very unusual. We don't really see a lot of ships with anything quite like that. So yeah, the B always stood out to me as a really unique and interesting design. We have the open kind of airlock or we have the open sort of shield gate back here for the shuttle bay, and it's got sort of a blue light around it, so that's really cool. And then the bridge up here, of course, and then just the spacing for everything was really tricky to get just right. The engines felt too close together to me, and then I was looking at all the blueprints and stuff, and I was like, no, that is how it is. And then just kind of representing this unique shaping down here as well for the secondary hull with the ingots to get that kind of stripy look. This was a really fun one to design, and the Enterprise B is a really cool looking ship. So I was really happy to be able to have this one in the fleet as well. I don't have an Enterprise A, but I do have a B. But the Constitution class is similar enough that I wanted to just include the regular NCC 1701 instead of the A. So, but hey, at least we got the B. So yeah, moving on. And then moving on down the line here, we have the Enterprise C. I love the sand blue accents on this one in the actual ship, and I love this sort of cross design up on the top here. That kind of is thematically relevant for the one appearance of the Enterprise C, which was in The Next Generation. The fantastic episode, Yesterday's Enterprise. Highly recommend, even if you haven't ever seen an episode of Star Trek, I highly recommend you watch just that one. But yeah, a super tragic story, and really effectively told in the episode. And the C here has kind of a unique, really large deflector dish that is angled down like this, so I really wanted to capture that in this design. Again, we have the bridge up here, and this time it's just indicated with the bar that I'm using once again to attach the dish underneath. And then that's the whole bridge section right there. It's kind of a nice mashup between the B and the D, where it gives you a little bit of that in-between design language. You can see where things are starting to go and to get to the Galaxy class, so I think that's really cool. And then the kind of the fatter back section here for where the shuttle bay is, I think looks really cool. Most of the ships that we're used to seeing kind of get narrower towards the back, not fatter, so I think that's nice. And this is just a really pleasing one to design and build. And again, like I said, one of the absolute all-time best episodes of TNG. So give it a look if you haven't. So there you go. There's the Enterprise C from Yesterday's Enterprise, and on we go to the next one. I feel like the Klingon Bird of Prey doesn't need much introduction. It's very iconic to the franchise. This one was super fun because it involved a lot of weird connections and making things fit just right in a very specific way, and doing so in a very tight space. So this was really fun to do. We have the impulse engines back here, and then we have the ability to angle the wings. So in universe, these wings can go down to the point where they're actually scooping up like this. So this is an iconic look here from, I believe it was the Voyage Home, where the Bird of Prey is hovering over the ocean like this. And then, you can see the angled up wings there. And then normally when it's in sort of attack mode, they come down like this. And then you actually do have these armor plate parts that stick up in relief like this, the way that you see it here on the actual underside of the design. And then, using the little ski poles there for the guns, I think feels pretty perfect. This feels almost Star Wars-y to me. It's just such a cool outline, and it's such a cool design. I absolutely adore the Bird of Prey and always have. And of course, had to have one in here amongst the rest. Oh, and I thought this technique was fun too, to get the little red ring that goes around the cockpit there. I think it's like a phaser ring or something. Actually, I'm not sure what that does, but it's very iconic to the ship. I just basically cut into the silhouette using this tooth piece, which unfortunately doesn't come in regular green, but just dark green, but that's fine. It gives it a little bit of character, and I think that really works. So super thrilled with this one. Klingons getting a second round of representation here. Oh, and yes, this part right here is attached with a single stud and does sometimes come off, so do be careful of that. So on to the next one. And next up, of course, the Galaxy class, the Enterprise D from The Next Generation. Absolutely gorgeous design. I would say this is near perfect. I would put this alongside the original Constitution class as basically a flawless design. In my mind, every single part of it is just so cool to look at. I love the Cobra neck that comes down in the back here, and that's something that was really tricky to capture. And I did have a couple of different versions to kind of get that really accentuated, and then I ended up paring it back a little bit because of the saucer section here, which I wanted to be able to separate. That was really being interfered with. The whole kind of way that the saucer was attaching It was not holding itself together well. So I ended up redesigning this back section to what you see here. It's less prominent. It's actually more accurate, I think, to what we see on screen, but it's just less of a feature. But yeah, the nacelles here were really, really tricky to design as well. Took a long time to get everything to feel just quite right, and I did actually even rely on help from other Trekkies in sort of Facebook groups and forums and things to give me advice on how to best approach these things, and then just iterate from there. Yeah, so the bridge is up here, and then we have the main shuttle bay is back here, and then just the way that this all flattens out towards the bottom and then scoops out to the nacelles is so satisfying. It's such a swoopy ship. And then yeah, I probably spent, I mean, I think I was up several nights till past 2 in the morning getting different versions of this section where everything was feeling so thick down here. It was feeling too chunky, too deep, and I wanted this to be squished. So yeah, it took a really, really long time to arrive at the set of solutions to not only have the body get narrower as it goes back, the secondary hull, to trim down as it gets towards the waist section here, but also to be really, really flat and still be able to accommodate an oval-shaped deflector dish in there. So yeah, this one was a real challenge, and I couldn't be more happy with how it turned out. So there you go. That's why I outfitted it up as its own set, and you can build this one. The instructions for it are free. Check out the Brothers Brick blog. They hosted it on there, or check out my Rebrickable page. I believe that it should be out on there by now. But yeah, if not, soon. So yeah, there's the Enterprise D, absolutely legendary vessel, and so much so that they even brought it back for Picard Season 3, so love it. Next up we have the Type 6 shuttlecraft, and boy, oh boy, I had to go crazy on the techniques on this one to get this to look half as like what I want it to look like, the way that it appears in the show. First of all, getting this windshield to swoop down and not be like stepped was really tricky to do, and then finding something that had a frame that would get curved down and then allow me to have the secondary window under here, which has this exact shape where it's rounded on top and then has a little cutout in the window. Man, that took so much experimentation, but I'll just give you a quick preview of how I actually attached this secondary part of the windshield here. Is actually really easy. I used 2 brackets, one facing down and one then facing up on top of it, and then that just perfectly gives you spacing to connect this in here. And then yeah, we have the upside down section in here with this this unique piece used to attach this in on the underside there, and then just everything fits around this frame nicely. And then I'm using these hinged bricks back here to give you the shape of that kind of hood of these engines that sit up above. I don't know if they're engines, but these sections that sit above, raised in relief from the rest of the ship and at an angle like this. So yeah, super cool on that. And then we're using these swirly parts at the back to represent these unique engine nacelle parts at the back here, the way that those look. Yeah, I couldn't be more thrilled with this one. It was a real labor of love to get this to look how I wanted it to, and there it is. Here we have the Romulan Dideridex Warbird, which is a really menacing, huge ship, and it's also really interesting because the ship is like 80% hollow space, and I find that so fascinating, right? So the main area where it feels like the crew exists is back here, and then you just have this cutout right in the middle, and that's such a cool, unique design. You really don't see a lot of ships taking advantage of big hollow space like that in that way, and I think that's awesome. Yeah, I didn't have the ability to put in the transparent green here for the sort of engine glow, but I went with the lime green because I needed these connectors to be this shape, and obviously they don't make these connector pieces in transparent colors, so yeah, lime green will have to do. And then again, just did a bunch of iterations on how to get the front section to feel, because it has a sort of like swooping down sharp chin underneath here, and then it isn't really attached back here with very much. There's just sort of a really thin assembly that runs out to the bottom and connects in there. So just figuring all of that and having it be solid enough, even though it is basically fully hollow, was really fun and challenging, and this is a really cool one. So yeah, Romulans getting some representation in here with one of their most iconic warships. I really like this one. So there you go. There's the Romulan Warbird. And next up here we have the most menacing cube you'll ever encounter. This is a Borg cube, of course. It's not intended to be the one from First Contact because it doesn't have the sort of round porthole where the sphere inner ship escapes from in that movie. So this is more like the best of both worlds kind of Borg cube, or just the more standard ones that we see. I'm using trans green elements throughout the structure here to give it that sort of look of the patchwork, where you can see the green light poking through from underneath, and I'm using subtle color differences, like I'm using the silver 1x1 round studs as opposed to just the dark gray, just to break it up a little bit, with some black accents in between, and then some gunmetal gray ingots and stuff as well to really break that up and yeah, make it look cool and menacing and unique and weird. So there's that. It's super alien, it's super cool. I've always been a fan of the Borg cubes, and yeah, the Borg have been reused to death, but you can't deny when they first appeared that they were just so very menacing. It was like, what? It's a cube. What do you do? What do you shoot at? So yeah, there you go. There's the Borg cube. USS Voyager. What a pain this ship was to figure out. My goodness. The shape of this saucer section, the oval, the way that this comes around to the front and has a sort of a very distinct flat front rounded section here, took me weeks of going back and tinkering, thinking I was happy with it, realizing I wasn't, and then going back again, of just that constant back and forth process. But I'm super, super happy with the final result. Relying on these relatively new wedge parts in here really, really helped to define the shape of the dish, because it's much sleeker towards the front, and then it gets a little bit more of a shallow angle here at the back. And then this, really aggressive look with the sort of channel here of the detail that terminates in with this. Yeah, I don't know what the shape actually represents, but there is this sort of gold semi-spherical or semicircle detail up at the front here, and I'm representing that with a medium nougat tile. And then these sections here are off-color detailing that represents real things on the model that I want to say, are they phaser emplacements? I forget now. My in-depth Trek lore is not very strong. I'm more about the characters and the stories than I am about the technical knowledge. But yeah, there is these shapes. These two back here should be a little bit further back, but just the way that it's constructed, this is as far back as they could go. But I still really wanted to have that little bit of a call out to that detail. And then here, the nacelles can angle up like in the show. So when the Voyager goes to warp, they go up, and then when they're in sort of cruising mode, they come down flat like this. And yeah, I love that. And of course I had to get that in there. And then just a nice unique shape in here, once again relying on these tooth parts to kind of cut into the red of that to give that just sort of red stripe around for the front of the nacelles there. So really like that. And then yeah, the body down here, the secondary hull, it's very much fused in there, so this looks much more aggressive than a lot of the older dainty ships with the skinny neck. This is just a war wedge that's designed to just, it almost reminds me of an icebreaker ship. That's what it is, like making its way to the North Pole. And it just looks like a hardy exploration vessel. So absolutely love that. So yeah, main shuttle bay back here. And that pretty much concludes all of the details. Yeah, I think we're up to, I don't know how many Voyagers there are now. I think we're up to J maybe in the 32nd century, but this is the original, and I'm super proud of it. Next up we have the Delta Flyer. This is a craft that was developed by the crew of Voyager to explore crazy Delta Quadrant stuff, and it's a really unique shape for this front windshield here. So I'm using 2 quarter round tiles in black against a dark gray background to just kind of call attention to that interesting shape. And yeah, once again, figuring out even how to get like the little red stripe that runs down the side here by using this bracket, and then the way to angle the nacelles down. It all took so much time. This ship is infused with Borg technology, so these little gray areas all over it. So this is one sort of patch of that, and I wanted to call that out. And then this is the boarding ramp back here, I believe. And then yeah, the cockpit at the front was definitely the most challenging part, and just having everything just come down into such a fine wedge point at the front here was, again, really, really not easy to figure out all of that. So yeah, really, really love this one. The Delta Flyer is one of my personal favorite ships. Growing up, Voyager was the show that I watched of Star Trek that was running concurrently, and I was watching every week. And when they built this thing, I was super happy. So yeah, really glad to have this one in amongst the rest. And next up here we have the Enterprise E. This is the one that carries the crew from the Next Generation through the latter 3 movies of their run after the Enterprise D is destroyed. And then we have the kind of aggressive nacelles here where it gets real angular at the front, and then this really elongated dish. You know, they sort of took the Galaxy class station, turned it sideways, and made it a lot more of an aggressive shape. It's a lot more, you know, forward motion kind of oriented, whereas the Galaxy class was more laid back in its appearance. We've got the bridge up here, and then these shapes, the way that this kind of has a kink in it, that was something that was actually present in the design that I wanted to capture in here. So there's sort of stages where this steps down in towards the back. So I'm really happy with how that looks. And then yeah, just a simple deflector down here. And then yeah, I guess I believe there's a captain's yacht in here as well as in the D. I actually forgot, I have to look that up. But yeah, I do believe that there is a craft embedded into the saucer section in here, like there is for a lot of the Federation capital ships. So yeah, really like this one. I like how the nacelles swoop back and become much thinner towards the back. It looks sleek, it looks aggressive, and you know, it shows that the Enterprise crew means business after they took the loss of losing the Enterprise D. And I was really happy to get these cut tiles in the trans red from I think these were introduced for the Speed Champions line. These are the perfect shape to represent the impulse engines back here, so super happy with that. So yeah, there's the Enterprise E. Was involved in a lot of cool stuff in the movies, and it's a really fun one to have in the collection. So next up we have Deep Space Nine. Of course, this is super iconic. Probably, I mean, overall, probably the best Star Trek show ever is Deep Space Nine. I think a lot of people are in agreement about that. And of course, the station had to be in here. It was really tricky to figure out a design where I could get the hollow inner ring and then also the outer ring to all line up. And then the scale was sort of determined by, because I knew I wanted to use these parts for the arms that extend up, the sort of docking clamp arms up and down. And so that determined that I was going to use the sausage pieces here for these little unique details that come off from the central ring there, and it all just kind of fell into place from there. I like all of the transboot elements here to show all of the windows that people can look out of. You know, the station is designed to be you know, livable, and it's got lots of windows for folks to be able to see out into space and get a good view. So really wanted to get all of that airy feeling in here from that. And then yeah, like I said, the shape of the roundness, super hard to pull off. So yeah, it ended up working out fairly simply, but I tried so many things before I got to the simple solution that I was kicking myself. But it actually it's pretty rigid and it holds itself together very well. And you can place it down onto these arms and it will stay up just fine. And you can actually do it upside down too. And yeah, and all the little kind of central rings and dishes and things that make up that sort of central tower. Really happy with how all of that came out. So yeah, there's DS9 looking absolutely gorgeous. And next we have the Danube class runabout. This one is really recognizable because of the recessed windshield at the front, and then the way that this sort of arm section goes up here and clamps onto this extra assembly on the top. That always stuck out to me in the show, that it has like a weird extra bit on the top. And then we have the little nacelles here off to the side, so kind of the gold detailing in the front and then the red in the back. And then, yeah, figuring out the way to get these side armor plates to be in here and be the right shape against the rest of the design was really fun and tricky to figure out. And then also, yeah, figuring out how I was going to get this section to be up here. I tried a lot of different things before I landed on, oh yeah, duh, perfect, the binoculars. And it's funny, it kind of does look a bit like a Cyberman from the front from Doctor Who, so that's fun. But yeah, this is the runabout, and it's a nice design, so I'm really happy to have it in here. I wanted to have at least a few, you know, kind of utility shuttlecraft types in amongst all of the capital ships. And here is the Defiant. So if the NX-01 is my favorite Enterprise, the Defiant is my favorite overall ship from all of Star Trek. It's just such a cool, mean-looking little bird, and it's just like this little wedge. It's this little battle wedge of death, and it's just so cool. I love it so much. So yeah, there was a lot of shapes that I wanted to get in here. The head was probably the single most tricky element. So we do have this sort of angle under here, which ideally we would see blue in here for what I believe is the deflector dish of the Defiant, but obviously I'm not able to do that and keep it as sleek as it is. But then, yeah, we have all the sort of recognizable elements, the round section up here, the bridge here, and then these grills off to the back, which would have sort of red elements to them in the actual studio models, you know, at a bigger scale. Blue in the back and then red in the front of the engines here. It feels really nice. I love how tucked in everything is, how squished it all is. And then obviously these round, or these sort of quarter hemisphere parts right here are super useful to be able to capture that nice front shape for this. Yeah, this is a model I don't think I could have made, you know, 4 or 5 years ago. A lot of the parts that I'm relying on just weren't available, and I'm really glad that they exist now because I can make this cool looking ship. So there's the Defiant. Absolutely adore this one. So let's move on to the next one. Next up is the USS Cerritos from Lower Decks. It's a really interesting and unique looking ship, the way that these large pylons just come down right out of the main saucer section there. And then we have this little itty bitty connecting part right back here where it has the deflector dish mounted in it. So, you know, all of the activities of the ship pretty much primarily happen right up in here in the saucer section, so that's cool. It's just a really cool look, and I love the yellow outline around there. That was really fun to figure out how I was going to approach that, and it's really simple. You know, now that we have these, we're starting to get these 3x3 tiles. They open up new opportunities to do things like, you know, have this math in here where this can have a half stud outline around it just by offsetting it using a jumper. So yeah, really like that. And then just, you know, this is a really cool, interesting and unique looking ship, and I like that it has these sort of black things that extend out with the red tip for the nacelle that you normally don't see on ships of this era. That it's normally a lot more kind of buried in there and sleek, and these are kind of really prominent, so I wanted to represent that as well. And then yeah, just getting the unique look for these nacelles back here as well was kind of challenging. You can kind of see how I did it here with the bar running through, and then the headlight brick in the trans blue, and then all of these blue cylinders. So yeah, I really like this one. And yeah, Lower Decks is many people's favorite Trek, and I can definitely see why. And I definitely had to make sure to get this one in here. So there you go. Next up we have the Enterprise F, as depicted in Star Trek Online, the Odyssey class. And this was really hard because I really wanted to get this sort of X shape of these sort of armor plates that sit on top of the main hull here, but I really couldn't find a good way to do it where it didn't look goofy. So I just had to go with using a sort of a separation in here by using these profile bricks, and then using these rounded bricks to attach the side parts of the cheese wedge here too for the front here, the front section of the saucer. Bridge up here, main shuttle bay back here, and then there's a secondary craft that can actually come out of the back here. You can see this does have a little bit of a tendency to want to pull apart from the middle just due to the way that it's constructed, but you just kind of have to pinch it together. And yeah, again, the really nice aggressive nacelles kind of building off of what we saw in the E, just making it even sleeker and adding more of those black accents like what we saw in the Enterprise E. So yeah, I really, really like this one. And I never played Star Trek Online, but I had to look up, because I knew that we had gotten to Enterprise G, and I wanted to look at what the F looked like, and I was like, oh, it's in Star Trek Online, cool. So yeah, really, really like this one. It also gives me kind of Voyager vibes a little bit, and it's cool, I dig it. So yeah, really fun. Oh, the only thing is this should have a gap underneath here between, there's sort of a hollow space in between the secondary hull and the saucer, but I wasn't able to represent that in there, so you just have to use your imagination on that. But just because of the way that, you know, I'm using a brick sideways technique for the saucer, there's really not room to represent that gap, but there should be a little gap under here that runs right the way through out the back. Oh well. But yeah, you can just imagine that the hollow in between these two plates is a representation for that. So yeah, there you go. There's the Enterprise F. Next up is the USS Protostar. This is from Star Trek Prodigy, and it's a really nice sort of pointy, aggressive, sharp looking ship here that really looks like it just kind of cuts through the atmosphere of whatever planet they may be going down to explore or something. But obviously this spends most of its time in space, so the aerodynamics don't have anything to do with it. But I really like how they have the large prominent windows to the side here, and then this really large open kind of viewing window up here sort of a skylight for the bridge section. So really like that, and I wanted to represent that in a way that stands out, so I'm using black for all of those elements. And then in this one, I needed to put a bar down through the nacelles to be able to hold it in securely, and so that gives me that little white highlight on the inside of the blue there, which I think is just a really cool look that, you know, is kind of accidental. And then I have a second bar in the back here, but I'm using gray for that so that it, you know, blends in the way that it should. Yeah, I think this one's really, really cool design, and Prodigy is a really cool show, and I'm really happy to be able to represent something from it here in the Advent Calendar collection. So yeah, there is the USS Protostar. And next up we have the Neo Constitution class, formerly the Titan, now Enterprise G. And I really, really like this design. I actually, initially, when I saw pictures of it, and I saw a lot of people were saying they hate this design and they can't believe this is the new Enterprise, I was kind of surprised by that, because I think it's a really nice looking ship, especially in the show. I was actually really, really impressed by it. But obviously, doing all the Enterprises, or at least most of them, and I had to get this one in here. So, you know, the very simple indication for the shuttle bay back here with the ingot piece. Again, the aggressive nacelle design continues, right? We're past all that just kind of plain cylindrical. We have to have a little bit of a swoop and some fanciness to it. I'm using inverted plates here to indicate these sort of gray detail down here. There's sort of these ridges that run along the back here in dark gray, so I wanted to represent that. But the trickiest thing was mounting this dish at 45 degrees to be able to get the shape there of the cutout from the back. Oh boy, that took a lot of tinkering to figure that out, and let me tell you, I was so happy once I cracked the design. And there's just a very, you know, specific arrangement of different plates, and you know, the different like single stud with hole in the center to be able to register into a certain part kind of thing, like a lot of that sort of math to get it to work out just right. And I'm super happy with how that turned out as well. And I was even able to get that little bit of dark gray in front of the main bridge section here, just by virtue of the way that it's constructed, because this is sitting slightly off center to the bridge, and then yeah, you get that little bit of dark gray showing through. So yeah, I really, really like this design, and I think it's cool and it's fitting to have the Enterprise name be handed back to a Constitution class vessel. This is the third Constitution class that they've done, or that exists in the Star Trek universe, and I really, really like this one. So yeah, I'm all for it. That show that was rumored to be happening, the next iteration of Star Trek with following Picard's son. Let's do it. Let's make it happen. Star Trek Legacy. Let's do it. But yeah, so there's the Enterprise G. And concluding here with the final build, this is the Enterprise J, still the furthest in the future Enterprise we've ever glimpsed, even though we've now skipped, leapfrogged over this time period to the 32nd century. We still don't know what the Enterprise of that time period looks like. So here we have the J. This was from a time travel sort of flash forward scene from Enterprise from way back in the day, so we're kind of taking it back to the beginning in a cool way, and we got to see what the Enterprise of 400 years in the future look like. And I really love how sleek and silly this is. Like it's got this massive dish, which is where most of the crew and stuff lives. This is called a Universe class ship, so it's got all these thousands of windows around this massive sort of city-sized central dish here, and then the really, really skinny nacelles off to the side just really, really help to sell it for me. It's such a unique looking ship. It kind of gives me like whale shark vibes a little bit, with the sort of mouth at the front being kind of highlighted there, and just how big it is. So yeah, this thing is really cool, and I remember it being divisive at the time as well, because it was so far in the future, but it was only the Enterprise J. Like, it felt like we should have been on the Enterprise like X2 by then or something, But I really worked hard to capture the color scheme. So we've got the purple up here for the deflector dish, at least I assume that's what it is, and then this large section in here, which actually has this kind of cut pattern around this bright yellow oval, like it's actually present like that in the design, and I had to figure out a way to graphically cut into that, so I'm using these bar pieces at angles to do that. And then we're also using this very fragile assembly. This is probably one of the most fragile MOCs I've ever made, to be honest, or at least put instructions out for. But I really wanted to capture the skinniness of this neck, or of these nacelles, and of the nacelle kind of pylons here. And so I'm using the sort of tail pieces here in the silver, and then binocular pieces to get the look in there for the blue, and then the red on top. And you have to really carefully, I actually point out in the instructions what order and how to assemble these so that they stay in here correctly. Like there's a certain amount of distance that you have to push each element in to the Technic half pins to make it work, and I wanted to call that out in the design because yeah, it could be really tricky. And then yeah, you're going to basically, when there is a stand for this, you're going to mount it from the back here, and the back section is super light, and so it's only held on by a single stud, this whole back assembly right here. But because the entire back section is so light, it really doesn't matter. And for display purposes, you're going to be putting all the weight here on the front section. So I'm really, really happy with this. And we have the continuation underneath for the design there. And then it's very simple, you know, just kind of, you're seeing the underside of the single brick thick construction. So you get the windows coming through there for free. And then you get a little bit of light coming through as well, which I really like. So yeah, the Universe class was really, it definitely sparked my imagination back in the day when I was watching Enterprise. And I really liked getting a glimpse into that wacky far future the show was depicting. So I'm all about it, but I know, like I said, a lot of people don't mess with this design, and that's totally fine, but I like it. So yeah, this is the final build. It's the biggest one, and it's got a lot of parts, and it's quite complicated, so I wanted to save that for last. And also it's kind of the furthest future Enterprise, so it made sense. So there you go. That's gonna wrap up the entire thing. All right, well, there we have it. That's the entire advent calendar. Sorry if it took me a while to get through all of the ships. I know there was a lot to talk about and a lot of different things happening there, but yeah, hopefully you guys got a kick out of seeing each of these a little bit up close. So even if you're not going to build them yourself, you can see what they're all about. You know, I wouldn't consider myself like a hardcore Trekkie. Like I don't know all the trivia and stuff. I haven't even seen everything that's out, although technically speaking, I haven't seen everything that Star Wars ever put out either. I've never watched the holiday special, you know, a couple of things like that. So you know, it's not all, fandoms aren't supposed to be all in or nothing. I've definitely had a period of my life where I was really into Star Trek, and then I've fallen off a little bit of late, but I do want to get caught up because I know that there's a lot of cool stuff coming out. So yeah, I'm definitely going to be diving back in, and doing these really reignited my love of Star Trek and my appreciation for all of these really cool designs. That's, you know, I mean, Star Trek's been around for, what is it now, 60 years, 70 years? I don't even know at this point. It's a long-running franchise, so I'm definitely having fun diving in and looking back through all of the different history and the iterations of things that have come before. And I hope that this gave you a little bit of that feeling as well. And then in the new year, you know, now that LEGO is officially doing Trek stuff, I'm thinking they're going to do more in the future, because I think the Enterprise D is going to be a huge seller for them. I mean, I'm pretty sure the hype that I'm seeing online right now indicates that it's going to be a really, really good selling product. So I'm thinking we're going to get more LEGO Star Trek, and it's going to be fun to dive into a little bit of that in the new year. I do want to continue making ships roughly at this scale, because I think that it's super fun. I think you can really do a lot at this scale, and it's like just a really good thing to be able to play around with, getting as much detail as you can and challenging yourself to keep it as small as possible so that the parts are, you know, sensible. The cost is kept down, and you know, the overall experience is easy to do for the average builder, not these massive, you know, 10,000 piece models that look awesome but are impractical to gather and actually store. So yeah, I'm really having fun with these mini ships, and I'm definitely going to do more in the new years. In addition to all of the plans that I have for the channel, that is one of the things that I'm going to be doing going forward. And I think that I'm going to do like a blog type video or something to share with you guys the process that I'm going through right now of revitalizing the channel and everything that's happening on the back end. So hopefully you guys will get a kick out of seeing a little bit into a glimpse into the madness of what's happening over here at 2bricks. So yeah, I'm going to be getting along now, and I was going to say working on the next video, but that won't be for a little while yet. But I'm going to get working on all of the crazy stuff that I have a massive to-do list the size of my arm. So for now, I will just say thank you so much for all of the love and support that you've given me in 2025. It's been incredible. I hope you have a wonderful holiday season, however you celebrate, if you celebrate. And I hope that the new year is wonderful for you as well. I cannot wait to get started. So you know, I'm gonna get to work, and we'll see you in January, and we're gonna hit the ground running. So thank you guys again, and I'll see you soon.